This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, and there's nothing really going on in the news today other than they caught the bomber. And lo and behold, what a shocker, he's a fanatical Trump alt-right conservative. And of course, the alt-right conservatives are yelling foul, claiming fake news, that Hillary sent the bomb to herself and Obama sent the bomb to themselves, and it's all a trap to destroy the midterms. So, do we want to do a video on what is fake news? I've got several lined up. I've got one on how to make $1 billion if you have your own company. And then I have the difference between Republicans and Democrats, and then another one on different types of governments and whatever. Because matter of full disclosure, I watch MSNBC, which is admitted a left-wing news media, but I am not a party person. I don't belong to any party. I don't believe that we should even have a party. That's why it's important that everybody understand that party government is communist government. Yeah, by definition. That's why Russia called themselves the USSR, a socialist republic. Socialism plus republic equals communism and party government. That's how it functions. That's how it works. So Russia used to be party run. Under Putin, they're no longer communist. Because Putin is not a part of a party. So what is he? He's an authoritarian. He's just like Trump, which means he's fascist. Russia got taken over by fascism. Their longtime hated enemy since World War II, since probably before World War II. Fascism took over Russia. So there you go. There's the maybe I'll make that the title of the movie or the video. And then maybe at least Russians will watch my videos. You know, people are getting upset that I'm talking too much about Mormon videos, but look at the views, people. People want to see videos on Mormons, on how Mormons are evil. I'm a key insider into how Mormons are evil because I was born and raised. I've been with them for almost 50 years. I know them, as the title of my video shows. They're alt-right conservative. That's why they're evil. It's that simple. Alt-right conservatism is evil. So, fake news. What's fake news? It's lies, plain and simple. It's where the press presents what they claim as news when they're actually lying. NBC got busted back in the 70s for rigging a video of how a certain truck would blow up on a simple impact. What they didn't reveal to the audience when they did their little news clip, which is not really news, it's, you know, they try to call it investigative journalism, but they had an actual explosive behind the panel of the car. So when the car crashed into it, boom! And they were exposed for that, and they got busted. Yeah, I mean, I know all about fake news from watching a left-wing organization. And before this, I used to watch a right-wing press organization. You know, like I've been trying to tell people, I used to watch my local Fox News. Because Fox News shows all the pretty girls. And so that attracts people. But It was just local news. I wanted to find out what the local news was. I, I didn't know that national news was gonna hit the big time with Trump getting elected. So once that happened, I recognized immediately that Fox wasn't covering all of Trump's actions, and I needed to find a source that would tell me what's going on with Trump. And so then I went to CBS, the national news. But then CBS went and pulled that stunt where all their stations did a rote statement. We are zombies. We conform to what we're told to read on the news. And like, come on, people. So yeah, I walked away from that and got a good chuckle out of finding out that every news station for CBS did it. But there were two anchors that I thought I could trust, and they're giving me BS. So yeah, bye guys. I don't put up with crap. And so, yeah, that's when I found MSNBC, because Brian Williams does the national news, and I found that the CBS was fine, but after that stunt they pulled, I needed to find something better. So how do you recognize fake news? Well, first you have to recognize what actual news is. And Fox frustrated the hell out of me, because time and time again they would promote local businesses, giving them free advertisement. And the local paper does the same thing. They'll do an article about the grand opening of this store, or this is a store that's receiving a lot of interest because of their particular product. They're giving free advertising. That's not news. You become an advertiser when you do stuff like that. You're not a news organization, you're an advertiser. And if I want to watch advertising, I'll skip ahead to the commercials. Those are fake news. You got all these, for example, you have all these drug commercials, and it's a different drug name every single few months. And then you listen, and yeah, you watch the screen, and it's people having a good time with friends or family or loved ones, and they're all smiling and happy and doing things. And if you listen to what's being said while you're watching the happiness, they're talking about the side effects of taking their drug. And you're just like, wait a minute, did they just say may cause death? They don't use the word death anymore. They say fatal. May be fatal. May cause severe bleeding. What happens if you're severely bleeding? You die. Fatal. It's like, oh my God, did they just say that? Why am I going to take a product that's going to kill me? And it's just like unbelievable. And then you hear in the actual news, or it's normally on commercials, a commercial lawyer or representative for a law firm says, so-and-so, if you've taken such and such a drug, you are entitled to compensation, and the courts have reserved $300 million for victims of this drug. And you call this number now. Wait a minute, that was the drug a few months ago. And then you realize, hey, wait a minute, it's now being called this name. So that's fake news, or fake advertising technically. It's fraudulent advertising, where they're promoting a product that is dangerous in this particular case, but a product that doesn't provide what they're actually telling you. You'll hear it. New and improved. Wait a minute, you were advertising that your previous product was the best ever, and now you're saying it's new and improved. Why wasn't the previous one working? I bought your product, it worked just fine. Why do I need to upgrade? And then you get the food stuff. You know, now fat-free, now sugar-free, now we'll help raise cholesterol, now we'll help raise the good cholesterol. You know, back and forth on every little study that a news agency does and reports on. And that's another part of fake news, is they do studies. Studies show that, you know, who gave the study? Who paid them to do the study? Is it the company that is favorable towards the study or unfavorable towards the study? You know, that makes a big difference. See, here in Utah, we're voting for medical marijuana. And the LDS Church, which controls the state of Utah, because if they put out a positive or negative thing about whatever is coming up for election or what Congress in Utah are going to be voting for, they can overturn what the government officials are going to want to do, or whoever presents a bill that gets passed to be on the vote. And so, yes, that's what the church did for medical marijuana. They had paid for a study. Now, either directly from the church, but I'm sure they've learned from their interference in the California Prop 8 on gay marriage. But they have ways around that. You know, they've got lawyers. They've got a member of the first presidency who is a lawyer and a judge. You know, he knows how to manipulate the system. He's alt-right conservative. So he knows how to get Kavanaugh-type people in the positions that they want. And so they somehow this research study that claims to be a scientific research place did a study, and lo and behold, they support the church and their view on medical marijuana, that it's bad. Oh man. And so, yeah, all Utahns are going to vote against medical marijuana as a result. But the church didn't make a statement about expanding Medicaid. And so that will most likely pass, even though we're hardcore Republican here in the state of Utah. And, you know, we want to overturn Obamacare and the people with preconditions. I think, you know, it's easy to fool people when you distract them with other things. So that's probably what happened, is they say, well, we're giving you extra Medicare or Medicaid. We're not going to give you medical marijuana also. So that's the joys of an alt-right conservative state. But fake news also will be biased. They will promote a conservative or liberal agenda depending on the type of news you watch. And you can tell. They'll have panel discussions, and the panel discussions are with, you know, MSNBC. Their panel discussions are on how the Republicans are immoral, and we as Americans need to step up and vote them out. I don't want to hear your opinions. I'm sick of opinions. I've got it turned down during Chris Matthews, because that's all he does. He just does panel discussions for his whole show. And then finally, his last 2 minutes are his opinion. You know, and his opinion is sometimes good, but I'm not interested in listening to people's opinions. I don't care about other people's feelings. I care about the facts and the evidence. That will be my criteria for judging how I'm supposed to think and believe and feel about an issue, from the facts and evidence. not from other people's feelings and opinions. So yeah, I'm not going to give positive affirmation or what is that? Affirm? Is it affirm somebody's feelings? Can't remember what it was. It was some years back that people had to give credibility to another person's feelings on an issue or opinions on an issue. I can't remember what it was called. There was a specific word for it, but yeah, I'm not going to affirm somebody's opinion or validate. That's it. I don't validate opinions and feelings. I validate facts and evidence. So yeah, that also frustrates me when that tried going around to become popular. Okay, so yeah, I mean, on Fox News, you hear it. In the local news, it's a little more subtle because they're not federal coverage. It's all state and local coverage. And so when you hear about an arrest that's made, listen very carefully to how they talk about the arrest. They will talk and say the accused. They're supposed to say the accused. If they don't say the accused, be weary, because you might be looking at a wag the dog red flag alert. Just like Las Vegas. The news reporter on the scene live as I was watching, said the shooter. They named my name, the shooter. Then when the police finally gave statements a couple of days later, the accused has been identified as so-and-so. See, there's a difference. News people are not supposed to assign guilt. When they assign guilt, you know something's wrong. And but Fox, when I was watching them here in Utah, when somebody gets arrested, they always say whether or not the person is cooperating with police. Anybody hear of Miranda rights? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You're not supposed to cooperate. You're supposed to go to trial, and they need to present the evidence against you. If they've got the evidence against you, then you're screwed. But if you are actually innocent, you shouldn't be going to jail. You shouldn't be thrown in jail for months while your job is gone, your family leaves you, your life is ruined because you're defending yourself. And so in Utah, it's not 95% that the rest of the nation has in never going to trial. In Utah, 98% don't go to trial. 3,000 average get processed through the Salt Lake County jail every month. That's a lot of people who are not cooperating with officers. That's alt-right conservatism for you. They do not care about your rights. And when I ever get around to that video, I'll discuss it, because for Republicans, it's security over rights. Whereas Democrats, it's rights over qualifications. It's like playing a game for a championship, and the Democrats would put in a player who hasn't played as much time because they weren't really that good. Whereas the Republicans, they'd have bribed players to be registered at their school so that they could be on the team as ringers. That's the difference between them. Security over rights versus rights over quality or qualifications. Those are the only two choices we have. We're supposed to be a constitutional republic. It says so right in the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No law shall be made by the federal government or the state government at any of the branches that goes contrary to the Constitution. And yet look at it. I've already described several instances where we're violating the Constitution, both on the Democrats and the Republicans. You know, freedom of the press. If you ever present news, you should be protected. But you're not presenting the news. You know, the only one is, there are two people actually. You know, well, three when breaking news happens. But Judy Woodruff on PBS, but she just reads what she's told to read from the screen. And so she doesn't go into detail. And then Rachel Maddow, and that's why I watch MSNBC, because it leads up to Rachel Maddow for the day. And that's how I can identify the fake news in all the previous MSNBC news shows leading up to Rachel. But Rachel presents facts and evidence alone. She does not give her opinion. She does not give commentary. She ties the history of the day's event together. She goes to a similar case that leads to this one. You know, so that's why I only watch Rachel Maddow. But everything else, it's just, I can't even watch Fox anymore. There's just no way. When I found out that Ainsley Earhart had ordered Trump to bomb Syria, and then Trump went and bombed Syria that evening, I tried paying attention to Fox and Friends for a couple of weeks, but I couldn't stand it. You know, it's just, man, it is not news. They just spout lies as opinions. And I can't listen to that kind of crap. I need facts and evidence. Don't tell me your opinions. Don't tell me your feelings. You know, but that's also fake news. When you have the ear of the president and you're telling him how to behave as president. You know, that's fake news. And so that's why I was paying attention to what Ainsley Earhart was going to order Trump to do next. And they've sort of backed off on that. But Ainsley never got punished. Unbelievable. She was talking to Geraldo Rivera about it. So it's all sweet and innocent. Because she looks like Ivanka. And Ivanka is the good daughter. You know. We know exactly what they're doing. We know what Trump likes. And so those are basic conditions of fake news. They don't state facts and evidence. They give opinions. And then they do panels where everybody expresses their opinion. You know, Democrats don't get it. As I'm watching MSNBC, they just don't get it. Show after show before Rachel Maddow, it's always a liberal person on the panel or being talked about who expresses their distrust and hatred and disgust for Trump and what he did or tweeted about that day. And it's like, come on, guys, Don't play me for a chump. Give me the facts and the evidence. I will determine how that is to be understood as Trump's character. And I already know Trump's character. I've gone to Art of the Deal that he's published. You know, I listen to his rallies, not for very long, because they're getting worse now. Everything he says is now a lie. And I can't listen to people who just lie to me. I can't stand it. And, you know, I ain't gonna trust that kind of a person. You know, back off. Don't tread on me. And so, fake news. I lost my train of thought, so I'm trying to recover it, because there's so many tangents to go off on. It's just, man, this is a hot button issue. So yeah, you can't lie. Let me try to rehash things, see if it will come back. You can't lie. You can't give your opinions and feelings. So don't do panel interviews. Polls, there's another one. You hear them talk about the poll today, put out by such and such, and they're, again, that's like they're specifically doing a study. It's like studies. They're rigged, and the polls are rigged specifically so that they can have a talking point on their show where people express their opinions and feelings. And the polls, they never poll me, so their percentage is incorrect because I'm not factored into that equation. And remember, there are 300 million plus in the United States. And so if they're saying 30% of those polled, you know, how many were polled? 100? 1,000? How am I supposed to believe that a poll number that is limited in scope and quantity, which is a small sample fallacy, for those of you who are familiar with logical arguments, you know, that does not sway me to the biased opinion that you're trying to push on me. I don't care what Trump's popularity is for the day. Give me the facts. Give me the evidence. I will decide his popularity. And so, yeah, I figured out polling, but, oh, yeah, the news also does other segments of shelter dogs and trying to help the community, and they do fundraising for things. You know, that's sad when we get held for ransom to pay for others' tragedies, when our government is supposed to be using our tax money to help those countries in the first place. The mere fact that we have to be paying extra taxes to donate to charities to help other people means that our government is not doing their job and not spending our money the way we want it to be spent. And so the telethons that the news organizations do, that's not news. Don't make us pay more. And yeah, I mean, today it's all about the bomber. That's all it is. All I wanted was the facts. I know his name. I've seen his previous arrest photo. That's all I need to know. it's going to take time before they process all the evidence. And unfortunately, we don't get speedy trials here in the United States, so it's going to take time before he actually goes to trial, unless he decides to plead guilty. But watch, I'm making a prediction. Trump pardons him. Trump said he would do it in his rallies. Remember, if you end up arrested, I'll pay for your case. He said that. Let's see if he's going to stick to it. That would be hilarious. Trump pardons Caesar. I love Trump, he is my friend. Little Russian accent. I don't know what nationality he comes from. But the name doesn't appear the typical white, because in Utah, you know the typical white names: Smith, Jones, Jensen, Nielsen, Larson, all the Sens and Sons from the Scandinavian names. So yeah, I mean, that's the Mormon culture. They inbreed. They all came from the areas where they were converted, and came to America to go west with the pioneers. So that's fake news. That's how you identify it. If they're not telling you the facts, do you know what a fact is? They need to be giving you adjectives of measurements. Measurement adjectives, not opinion adjectives. And that's what we need to be watching for. Listen very carefully. Pull out your grade school grammar books, because a news reporter is supposed to give you the day, time, location, identity, the who, how, who, what, where, when, why. And unfortunately, under conservative government, they don't reveal the why. They keep it a secret. They hold back the videotapes and keep it from the press. And they do that because the police are often the ones to blame and get busted when they show the tape. But that's another thing with the Las Vegas thing, is that the tapes that were shown was only of people screaming and some running. Others were just standing around. Some went and sat down. Nobody was getting their head blown off like they were being described by the witnesses. There were some other tapes that were leaked, and they indicated that there was false flags going on. As one guy is saying, it's on the speaker system, it's not real. No, get down, it's real. And yeah, there was an organization putting an ad in the paper saying, hey, we're looking for actors for a crisis video or crisis event to take place in Las Vegas on this particular date. Why didn't the news cover those? Why didn't the news reporters investigate? You're talking with an eyewitness. Why are you just believing whatever they tell you? CNN or 60 Minutes interviewed the first guys on the scene, the first police officers who stormed the supposed apartment. And we see the pictures, but there's no bullet casings. And then they release another picture later on with bullet casings. I'm going, wait a minute, those weren't there before. The guy interviewing those men who first arrived on the scene, he did not even challenge them. He did not question them. You know, he was just saying, oh, tell me your feelings about the matter. Tell me what's your opinion? Wow, you guys are great. Thank you for your service. That, he totally went off character. He's been a good investigative journalist. You know, the lady who interviewed Trump not too long ago, she hammered Trump. She put him in his place. She couldn't go too far because Trump may have gotten violent with her because he was getting pretty upset. You know, but the other guy, he didn't even do anything like that. And then the one girl who was accusing her trainer, the doctor trainer guy, the therapist guy, physical therapist guy, who ended up getting sentenced. And I'm watching her, and she's exhibiting all the traits of someone who would lie, looking to the wrong direction. Because when your eyes go in certain directions, depending on whether you're right-brained or left-brained, and I had to pay attention. Is she right-brained or left-brained? Because after I saw that, I thought, wait a minute, if she's typical left-brained, she's lying to us on 60 Minutes. So I had to find other videos about her talking, and found some. And sure enough, on those other videos, she demonstrates she is a left-brain person. So what she was doing was lying to 60 Minutes. And yet, somehow, the guy still pleaded guilty. And so that woman got to chastise him with a long lecture in the courtroom. You know? And all he did was do his exams without a glove. And unsupervised. There was no other woman to watch what he was doing. So yes, he made a mistake. But a sexual predator? No, he just got busted because he didn't follow procedure. If he had had another woman present in the room, and if he used gloves, he would have been fine. And so, yeah, he was screwed. He had no choice but to plead guilty on that. But yeah, I mean, that one woman, she lied. Liar. Liar! I'm not a witch, I'm your wife, and after what I've just heard, I'm not sure I want to be that anymore. Princess Bride, great movie. So, yeah, when you're watching reporters interview somebody at a scene of a crime, you know, are they interviewing witnesses or are they interviewing family members? See, when they're interviewing family members, they're trying to drum up emotional backing one way or the other, depending on whether they're liberal or conservative. You know, if they're conservative, did you know that your son was a terrorist? What? I didn't know. He's always been a good boy. Well, he's not a good boy anymore. He's going away for life, charged as an adult. I don't know. He's a different person. He must be mentally ill. Well, he's black. Oh, okay. Well, he's a criminal then. He's a terrorist. That's what they do. You know, that's another fake news indicator. If it's a black person who is accused of a crime, they call him a terrorist on the conservative media. If it's a white person on conservative media, they call him mentally ill. And everybody's mentally ill on the liberal side, because they don't want to blame anybody for being criminal. Yes, it was a bad thing, but they had something wrong with them. That's why they do it. So that's what psychiatrists are pushing right now, is behavioral modification. Here in Utah, we have what was once titled North Valley Mental Health. They've changed their name in 2014 to Valley Behavioral Health. So now they're all involved in behavioral modification so that they can justify people who get arrested, and 98% don't go to trial. They can put them through mental health court. Utah has mental health courts now. And that's why they're pushing behavioral problems as a mental illness. It's pure Nazi evil. Nazis had psychiatrists at the concentration camps doing human experimentations with drugs, with torture, weather experiments, with other types of painful tortures. Man. And then they do the gas thing. And finally everybody wakes up and says, oh, wow, this is horrible. Look what they did. Oh, who paid for this? Oh, the Bush administration? Or not the Bush Bank? Prescott Bush? Huh. Well, we better make his sons presidents then for this incident. Yeah. And then all the companies of other companies who are selling products in Nazi Germany so that they can fund the operations in the camps. And they don't teach you that in the school system, do they? So that's another thing of fake news. They withhold information. My local Fox News was not reporting on what Trump was doing that day. I wanted to know. And so Fox News consistently let me down, so I said, see ya, I'm out of here. You lost a viewer. And I really like the Weather Girl. But they got a new one just as I was leaving. And the main weather guy, he mysteriously quit, which was kind of weird because I was watching an episode and he made a joke to the main woman. I can't remember her name anymore. The main anchor woman. And then next thing I know, he's gone. And then I find out that he's decided to quit and become a full-time basketball coach for his son. You're giving up the lead weather guy position to be a coach for your son's basketball team at school. Right. It's like politicians when they say, I'm leaving office because I want to spend more time with my family. And then you find out later, like Jason Chaffetz from Utah, who stepped down after he had yelled at the Federal Reserve saying, I'm a senator. You have to show me the evidence I request. We're going to do an audit on you guys. See ya, Chaffetz. Can't do an audit. They're untouchable. And so Chaffetz says, oh, I'm going to spend more time with my family. And then we find out after he quits, he's a Fox News correspondent. And then he's now got a job at Harvard teaching, leaving his family to be a teacher at Harvard. Right. Spend more time with your family. Uh-huh. Had nothing to do with the death threats on your family after threatening the Federal Reserve to do an audit. Now we've got Hatch and Flake and Lee helping to put Kavanaugh in. So, yeah, you gotta pay attention to all the stories. When I talk to my local neighbors about something Trump had done, they're like, I didn't hear about that. Well, it's because you're watching Fox News. They don't talk about it. You know, the whole Ukrainian mess with Manafort. They don't talk about that on Fox News. You have to go to Rachel Maddow. She talks about it. And about Yemen, Samantha Bee, a late-night comedian on Wednesdays on TBS. She was the first to report the atrocities of Yemen that we were paying for. Paying the Saudis for weapons so that they can go and commit genocide on Yemen. There's lots of things, there's lots of things going on in the world. And if we're being withheld information, we're ignorant. We're in the dark. We're clueless about what's going on. And as a result, with the midterms coming up, you don't know all the information necessary for you to make a good, reasoned vote. And if you just go as to who slammed who the best, what does that say about you? So, that's fake news for you. And I'll probably remember it after I do the video. All right.